Imagine being born under a death sentence, raised in a palace, exiled to the wilderness, and then called by God to challenge the most powerful ruler on earth. This is the extraordinary story of Moses, a man who went from the lap of luxury to leading a nation to freedom. Let's dive into this breathtaking journey of faith, courage, and divine purpose. In the land of Egypt, the Hebrew people groaned under the weight of slavery, their cries echoing to the heavens. Pharaoh, fearing their growing numbers, decreed that every male Hebrew infant be cast into the Nile. But one brave mother, Jochebed, refused to surrender her son. With trembling hands, she placed her baby in a woven basket, sealing it with pitch, and entrusted him to the waters of the Nile. As the basket floated among the reeds, Pharaoh's daughter discovered the child and, moved with compassion, adopted him, naming him Moses, drawn from the water. Raised in the grandeur of Pharaoh's palace, Moses was taught the wisdom of Egypt, mastering its language, sciences, and strategies. Yet, as he walked the marble halls of power, his heart stirred with an inexplicable connection to the Hebrew slaves laboring in the scorching sun. He often watched them from afar, wondering about the God they cried out to and the faith that sustained them. One fateful day, while visiting the work sites, Moses witnessed an Egyptian taskmaster savagely beating a Hebrew slave. The injustice ignited a fire within him, and in a moment of uncontrollable rage, he struck the taskmaster down. Realizing what he had done, Moses buried the body in the sand, but the deed did not remain hidden. When Pharaoh learned of it, Moses fled into the wilderness, leaving behind the life of privilege he had always known. In the barren wilderness of Midian, Moses found refuge and a new life. He married Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, a Midianite priest, and became a shepherd, tending flocks in the silence of the desert. Each day seemed to erase the memory of his former life until one extraordinary moment shattered the monotony. While leading his flock near Mount Horeb, Moses saw a bush engulfed in flames, yet it was not consumed. As he approached, a voice called out, "Moses, Moses." Trembling, he responded, "Here I am." The voice revealed itself as the God of his ancestors, commanding Moses to deliver the Israelites from Egypt. Overwhelmed and filled with doubt, Moses protested, "Who am I to confront Pharaoh?" But God reassured him, "I will be with you." Reluctantly, Moses returned to Egypt, now a stranger to the palace he once called home. With his brother Aaron by his side, he stood before Pharaoh and delivered God's command, "Let my people go." Pharaoh's laughter echoed through the halls. His heart hardened against the God of the Hebrews. Thus began a divine battle. The Nile turned to blood, frogs invaded the land, gnats and flies swarmed, livestock perished, boils afflicted the Egyptians, and hail rained from the heavens. Each plague was a blow to Egypt's gods and Pharaoh's pride, but still, he refused to relent. The final plague brought Egypt to its knees. The angel of death passed through the land, claiming the firstborn of every household, sparing only those who marked their doorposts with lamb's blood. Pharaoh, broken and grieving, finally released the Israelites, urging them to leave. As the Israelites departed, carrying the treasures of Egypt, they were filled with hope and trepidation. But Pharaoh's regret turned to rage, and he sent his army to pursue them. Trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's chariots, the people despaired. Moses, standing resolute, stretched out his staff. The waters parted, creating walls of water on either side and a dry path through the sea. The Israelites crossed safely, but when Pharaoh's army followed, the waters returned, swallowing the chariots and soldiers in a moment of divine justice. The people stood on the far shore, singing songs of deliverance, their hearts filled with awe at the power of their God. In the wilderness, challenges arose. The people grumbled, hungry and thirsty, but God provided manna from heaven and water from a rock. Through Moses, he guided them, shaping them into a people set apart. On Mount Sinai, amidst thunder and lightning, Moses received the 10 Commandments, a covenant that would define their relationship with God. But while Moses communed with God, the people, impatient and fearful, crafted a golden calf to worship. Moses descended the mountain in righteous fury, shattering the tablets and calling the people to repentance. Under Moses' leadership, the Israelites constructed the tabernacle, a sacred dwelling for God's presence among them. It became a symbol of their identity and God's faithfulness. As they neared the promised land, Moses sent spies to scout the territory. While the land was abundant, fear of its inhabitants spread among the people, delaying their entry. After decades of leading the Israelites, Moses stood on Mount Nebo, gazing at the promised land he would not enter. His journey had come to an end, but his legacy endured. Moses' life from the Nile to Nebo remains a testament to God's power to transform and use the most unlikely individuals for his divine purpose.